By the early 1500s, no European had yet landed on the mainland of what we now call the United States. Then came the Spaniard Juan Ponce de Leon. It was Easter season 1513. Ponce de Leon sailed north from modern-day Puerto Rico. Where he came ashore next, the landscape was lush with flowers. He named it La Florida, from a Spanish name for Easter, Pascua, Florida. Another first for Spain, another Spanish mark on the New World. Spain was the most powerful empire in 16th century Europe. She led the race to settle the Americas. But not for long. Catholic Spain would soon lose that lead to Protestant England. As the English ascended, they set their sights on the New World. Florida would be the last colony on America's eastern seaboard to bear a Spanish name. For most of the 16th century, the New World was largely dominated by Spain. In Europe, Spanish prowess had advanced with the marriage between Isabella of Castile and Ferdinand of Aragon. Together, the two monarchs achieved an unprecedented level of Spanish unity. With newly forged religious and political purpose, they successfully completed the Reconquista, the centuries-long effort to expel the Moors from Spain. Juan Ponce de Leon was among the Catholic Spaniards who fought for the two monarchs. In the wake of a re-Christianized Spain, Jews across the country and non-converting Muslims in Granada were expelled from the kingdom. Spain would prove to be a bulwark in the Catholic Counter-Reformation. Isabella and Ferdinand invested in expeditions to increase Spanish wealth and territory and to spread the Catholic faith. Under their sponsorship, Columbus sailed 4 times to the New World. It was on the second of these voyages that Ponce de Leon joined the Italian explorer. Columbus's pioneering efforts led the way for Spanish conquests in Mexico and Peru. Along with allies from native tribes, Cortés and his soldiers decimated the Aztec Empire, Pizarro and his, the Incan. Spanish expeditions and conquests opened the way for Catholic missionaries from Spain to evangelize natives in North and South America. Franciscan missions were eventually established in modern-day New Mexico, Texas, Arizona, and California. In 1565, Spaniards established St. Augustine, America's longest existing European settlement. Gold and silver mined in the New World made Spain the wealthiest and most powerful empire in Europe. Spanish ships soon became the target of English pirates, most famously Francis Drake, who was later knighted Sir Francis Drake by Queen Elizabeth I. England threw its support to the Netherlands, who sought independence from Spanish domination. By 1588, Spain's King Philip II had decided to invade England. He would punish the English for their piracy and their Protestantism. In May of that year, the Spanish Armada set sail for the English Channel. Consisting of 130 ships, it was at the time the largest fleet ever assembled in Europe. When the two sides clashed in late July and early August, the Reconquista, Spain's largest warships, maneuvered with difficulty in the waters off the coast of northwest France. Not so the English vessels, which were better designed. To their further advantage, the English fleet carried a greater number of heavy guns. Spain's defeat was decisive. The consequences for the New World were great. The age of Spanish dominance was over. The age of Great Britain had dawned. The English now ruled the seas. The British Empire would eventually become the most expansive in all of world history. By the 1920s, it covered nearly 1/4 of the globe. Among their first expansions after defeating Spain, the English established permanent settlements along America's Atlantic coast. There would be one last moment of Spanish glory against their English nemesis. In the 1740s, Spain would successfully repel the English invasion of La Florida. The victory was not long-lived. By 1763, Florida was an English colony. As for the long term, In the wake of the American War for Independence, the colony was returned to the Spanish. By 1821, Florida was an American territory. On March 3, 1845, the United States admitted Florida as the 27th state. More than a century later, starting in 1959 and extending to our own time, well over 1 million immigrants fled Cuba to America. In search of new life, most of them would settle within a few hundred miles of the island they left, in Florida, the land named by their Spanish forebear.